All right. Who is Giovanna?
So, professionally, I'm a licensed pharmacist.
Lovely.
Corporate body.
All right.
And otherwise, right now my journey is wellness. So that's my niche, what I'm into. Still in the process of developing it. And when you hear wellness, you would think like fitness primarily.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. Like I'm not like a fitness, I don't want to say influencer, but like it's not just that. I would say it started as that, like me getting into fitness. I was able to like go on that journey, but I was reading a book called 5 a.m. Club, and I feel like have you read it?
No, that's good about it. I just seen it popping up on my timeline often.
It's really good.
Okay.
You should take a read. I'm still in the process of reading it. I haven't finished it yet.
All right, when you finish it, then after you can maybe lend me it. I don't read it.
I have it as an ebook, so I can send you it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so one of the concepts in the book talks about like the 4 pillars of wellness. So it has to do with heart set, mindset, soul set, and health set.
Right.
So fitness could be considered health set.
Correct.
But then there's the 3 other aspects which are just as important. And you realize that if you're like your fittest self, that doesn't just encompass like a fit body. It's like a fit mind, a fit soul, a fit heart. And it's really important to me because I feel like that affects how you function in life, you know, in terms of like in relationships, with yourself personally, what you put into the world. So that's my thing.
So I heard you mention about your corporate body. So what is that?
It is basically that I have a day job.
All right.
So yeah, I work 8 to 4, and it's an important aspect of my life, and I only like recently more or less graduated from university. I'd say like
Congrats.
2 years. Thank you.
Welcome.
So I'm still navigating that side of things and learning every day because I am fairly young and new to everything. But it's been good. It's something I can see myself doing for a while, and that in itself has taught me things about myself, you know, and like my strengths, things I have to work on. I don't really like to say weaknesses, just like some things.
Improvements.
Yeah, definitely, because as people, there are different challenges. Something that would be challenging for you may not be challenging for me, and vice versa. You know, so it's important to like, well, it is my bread and butter, obviously. But it also presents like important things I see in myself that I could work on to become a better person all around, you know?
So you disprove of, you know, the saying strengths and weaknesses?
I just don't like the term, I guess, in layman's terms, when you're having a conversation, strengths and weaknesses, it's not like a big deal.
Right.
But personally, I don't like to call it weaknesses because as you grow, you should be a lifelong learner. I see myself as a lifelong learner. And there's just things that you wouldn't come across naturally or see in yourself until you're put into different situations, right? So working in corporate worlds is one aspect of that I've seen, like things that I'm naturally good at and things that I have to work towards being better.
You see, the words that you put out in the atmosphere, it tends to be negative towards another. So as you mentioned, you wouldn't consider it to be a weakness, but there's something that you have to improve on. You know, so like when it is someone interviewing another, an interviewer interviewing an interviewee, it should be a conversation and not an actual interview. Anytime you have it in your mind, it's an interview, you will feel threatened, you will feel like, you know, it have so many other candidates that you wouldn't be able to obtain this job. You know, so that is something really great that you mentioned, and I think that persons who watching this video, they should really listen to this and take heed, because it's not about what the gurus say that is always right. As time go by, we realize that what the gurus said, it worked back then, but not now, because times are changing.
I agree with that. And I mean, they have a lot of information out there, a lot of videos you could watch about like top 5 interview questions that you're asking someone, and it's helpful.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you have to figure out what works for you, one, most importantly, because we're all individuals, right? And nerves are natural. Like even thinking back to the interview I would have had for the job I have now, I was nervous about it, you know, and the more you do interviews, the more comfortable you get. And you have to like know yourself and be confident in yourself to be able to put forward what you are capable of doing, because that one conversation is essentially all they get about you for them to make a decision you know.
And I could personally see that you are comfortable right now. You know, because you have the foot going so like this, you're showing that comfortable
That might be a
vibes.
nervous tick.
Side about you. So it's just to be comfortable in anything. I know that it are persons who might be celebrities, and when they go out on stage or when they have to do an event or like a video, they get that sense of nervousness, maybe just for a short, maybe like 30 seconds, 1 minute, and then after it vanishes. But I believe that's natural.
That is natural.
Yeah, you know, so nothing is wrong with that. And sometimes too, based on the crowd response, they make you feel comfortable. So a crowd could make you and break you at the same time. You know, like this interview here, you could make me feel uncomfortable, and that can make me feel nervous. And then now the energy could be positive and both of us feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So sometimes I see some person maybe answer questions well in an interview, and other times that same person don't answer well is because they're not that comfortable, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And I like that you mentioned energy, because I feel like energy is so important, like from other people and energy you put out. And for example, like a crowd of a celebrity in front of a crowd, like you're feeding off of their energy, because like they like what you do. When you naturally just do what you're good at and like you're confident in yourself and you know your strengths, that's what is really like portrayed to everybody, and that's, I feel like, what you're best at, so that's what you're most comfortable doing, you know.
So let me tell you this, when it is that you came through that door, I already know in my mind this interview will be great, because you came in with that positive energy.
Thank you.
You are welcome. And with that positive energy, it made everybody in this room feel comfortable as well.
Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that. You know, because I guess some of my friends tell me I do make it easy for them to have a conversation with me, and I think it's just important that you listen, not just like, you know, you listen to understand and hear what the person has to say, and then you respond.
Yes.
Very often
don't listen
people
for listening's
just
sake.
no, you don't listen. You don't just listen to respond.
Yes.
I'm just waiting for you to finish up so I can say my part, because that's where it breaks down in communication. And even in something as simple as an interview, when the interviewer is speaking to the interviewee, like it's very important that they listen and they get that feedback, that flow of conversation, you know? Because
the interviewer always think that they're in charge and not understanding. Sometimes the interviewee could wow them.
That's true. They have like a pre-notion in their brain that, you know, XYZ, I'm the superior here, and not all the time. And I think that it's just as important as an interviewer to have that sort of training and like, you know, experience to make the interview feel comfortable, because you would know that the person is nervous, and like you have to do things to kind of make them feel comfortable. Like, hey, I'm a person, you're a person too, we're just having a conversation, whatever the outcome is. And that's the thing about life, you can't attach yourself to the outcome. If we go in, you know, holistic here, everything you do in life, like, just you have to detach yourself from the outcome, because there's so little that you are in charge of and like in control of, you know. And when you're really mindful of that, the little things that you are in control of, and you do those things to the best of your ability, the outcome and the circumstance may not always be favorable, what you wanted out of it, but you have to kind of accept it, because that's not in your control. You know. So I hear in the professional side of you, but then after, when I look at your Instagram page, I see a different side, like, you know, a lady that loves beaches, love, you know, island, love to go and maybe explore, adventurous and so forth. So tell me about that side. Is it that you do promotions? Is it that you just like the wellness of you? Well, thank you, first of all. I appreciate that. I'd like to think that my Instagram is a reflection of myself. It's my digital diary. All right. You know, so I would say like promotions and collaborations are like secondary, and it's like based on if somebody or business or any body of people see what they like and they feel like that's the energy they want for their brand, their company, then, you know, we collaborate. So as for me, I would say I'm a very adventurous person. I like new experiences. I love to travel. I do love the beach. I just like to have a good time. And I feel like because my corporate life is demanding, like that's a way for me to balance. So your corporate life is Monday to Friday? Okay, 8 to 4. It used to be shift, which was like more hectic. Thankfully, it's new to me because I straight out of school I was working shift, so I have an understanding of how my body and my life responds to that type of routine or lack thereof. And now I'm able to get into a routine with the 8 to 4 kind of vibe, and it's working better for me, I would say.
So if anybody need any advice in terms of wellness or what it is that you sell there or what service you provide at your work, you could elaborate on that? Like,
I'm not really going to elaborate on it to a far extent, but I will say I am a pharmacist.
Right,
so
yeah. In
wellness first, yeah. I dispense medication, stuff like that, but you'd say like in Trinidad in particular, we do suffer from a lot of chronic disease.
Correct.
And I would say that it has to do with lifestyle. Lifestyle, not in terms of like, you have to be perfect, you have to exercise every day, you have to eat a salad every day, like those things help. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But balance is like the most important thing, and I think a lot of people, it's difficult to find that balance and what works for you based on your lifestyle, how you work, how your life is set up with your family, your responsibilities, stuff like that. So I feel like people who are able to find that balance, it reflects in your health, and that's really important. So I would suggest making that a priority, balancing your life and putting yourself first, even though like in your family and other aspects of your life, we tend to put other people first.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's the saying goes, when you're on a plane and the oxygen mask drops, you put it on yourself first before you help anybody else, you know? And that's how we are able to show up as our best selves in all relationships when we feel best. Because the people around us can tell when we are not our best self and we're not able to give of our best selves if we aren't well within. So that goes across the board in terms of medication and like lifestyle. I'm not really a fan of like taking medication all the time.
Right,
and like, but if your doctor prescribes it, do take your medication on time. As your friendly neighborhood pharmacist would say. But prevention is better than cure.
Facts. So
that's essentially what I'm trying to say.
That was some awesome words of wisdom and education in terms of health and wellness. So you're welcome. In terms of promotion now, this industry is an industry that was blooming and still blooming, you know, and you had mentioned something slight that you know entered into this industry. So, you know, tell us what are some of the pros and cons of the promotion industry coming from a woman point of view.
Okay, so thank you for that question. It's a
You're
great
welcome.
question. So I'll go with pros first. It's nice when brands approach you, you know, you get the creative side of your brain working, you know, you're able to express yourself and really put forth, you know, something that you're proud of.
Right.
And I think that's really important. But I think some people, what I've noticed, and I've noticed it about myself too, when you make that the priority instead of being yourself and having a good time, it kind of creates a conflict of interest because you're more focused on what do other people think about me, do they like this? And you know, within reason, because when you're working with brands and you're collaborating, they have to like what you're putting out. That's very important, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's why it's important to really develop yourself first and know what you're good at, know your strengths and your challenges that we discussed before.
So I realized that it have day promotions and it have night promotions. Day promotions maybe just like how you are fully covered, and night promotions might be a bit more revealing. And I hear some people say that night promotions, those ladies who does the promotions, they tend to sometimes not be where they're supposed to be, like by the booth. They tend to go into the party and be in the party vibes. But day promotions, it's much more professional. So what you would say about that? Are you someone who would do day and night, or you're just more inclined to day promotions?
So when you talk about promotions in this aspect, you're referring to like brand ambassadors, like in a space where they're interacting with people.
They have a booth and persons may come if it is that they are giving persons sample of different drinks, new drinks that come out in the market. things like that.
I think it has a lot to do with what's the job spec. So I used to do promotions primarily when I was in university.
Right.
So I don't do it as much now. But what I can say is it comes down to the job spec. So the person supervising you would give you like a brief on what they expect you to do. And sometimes it's stay by the booth and interact with the customers or potential customers. And sometimes they want you to go out and, have a good time and while promoting the brand. So I think when people, when it's so easy to judge a situation when you're looking on the outside, but having been in that situation, it's very focused on what they expect from you. And especially if it's like, for example, a fete, if you're doing a promotion in a fete, they don't want you to just stand up behind the booth and, unless you're like serving something. But if you're promoting the brand, you're promoting Carnival, have a good time. They want you to, mingle in the crowd, talk about the brand, have a good time, hear what people are saying, show that kind of fun aspect that is what Carnival and fetting comes down to.
Because if you buy the booth and you have a lot of different samples, you really can't go and enjoy yourself.
Definitely not. Yeah, but most times they have people who do that, and then they have the people like giving it out and interacting, taking pictures, that kind of thing. So they would have different people to do different jobs.
I saw once in particular when I went to an all-inclusive fete that no one was by the booth and everyone all over, and persons just come and pick up and I was like, maybe the music, the drinks, maybe got in their minds and they just say, hey, let's go and have fun, everyone. So it may have it one off, not saying it's happening often, but it's just that sometimes when doing a promotion, I think you cannot be carried away. Yeah,
I think in life, I don't know if I like the term carried away, because you want to just put your best foot forward and have the best time of your life, whatever you're doing, but within constraints. Of course, at the end of the day, you're doing a job.
You're doing a job and you have samples there, and if it is that someone take a picture or two, it could be...
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to have it where it's unattended.
Correct. And that's the idea that I'm trying to portray, not to have anything unattended. Yeah.
That's an unfortunate circumstance, but I feel like in that case, they would have had to like regroup on it and see what went wrong and, just kind of try to avoid that in future, because that probably wasn't what was supposed to happen. I
hope not. I keep it an open mind.
Not, you really have to, But there's a lot of intricacies that go into those type of things. You just go to a fete and you see people doing promotions and setups and stuff like that. But it's a lot more intricate than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like young females who enter into the promotional world, it have so many things to say about promotions and so forth, but I don't want to get into that because it might be a bit lengthy and a bit tricky at a point in time. But what you would advise you would give to like a young female who is entering into promotions and they're not wise in the sense that they do not know if it is that someone would say, hey, come and do this, and it may be something else. Because sometimes these things do happen. You on the other end, it may not happen to you. But for the young ones that are coming up, what sort of advice would you give?
I'd say first and foremost, get that bag, sis, do your thing. Because if you have a certain goal in mind, like for me in particular, I needed to make extra money while I was in school. I was going to school full time, but obviously you do things that align with yourself.
Yes, as an individual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable with something, like I think as a woman, we are often not comfortable to say we're uncomfortable in a situation, and it could be like male energy, or sometimes it's another female that you're not open to saying that, hey, I'm not comfortable with something, because you're not sure of the repercussion of that, because somebody like overseeing you're not sure what their reaction is going to be like. You don't want to be excommunicated from the industry for one wrong move. But I think that all boils down to, as a person, really knowing yourself and what aligns with you and what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And people are always going to have something to say. You're always going to be judged, like whether you do nothing your whole life or whether you take every opportunity that comes to you. So it really boils down to like being in touch with yourself, and I feel like that only comes with time, because your reality is like a sum of experiences that you've had in your life, you know. So only when you do certain things, you're able to say, hey, I actually like this, or hey, I don't like this so much, I probably won't do it again. So it's a journey I think everybody has to commit to, because only then you can really see like the benefits and yourself blossom.
Understood. Would you say publicity, good or bad, is good publicity?
No.
Okay.
Because I to each his own.
Yeah.
But there's personally certain spaces I wouldn't put myself in.
Like, for example?
I don't know. An example doesn't come to my head. Do you have one that I could probably say yay or nay?
Okay, good question.
Like, what were you referring to?
So, would you do a night promotion in a two-piece?
Well, I don't really do like those types of promotions anymore.